my vision for the future would be to connect with the grass level audience back in our country because I believe that's where real talent lies and also the challenges. So I believe it's my time to give back by educating the rural India, possibly collaborating with the government, wherein I actually get down to the kids who need it the most. And that's my vision for the future, and I'm really rooting for it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the podcast. I'm joined with an amazing guest, Dr. Manjoo Shree. Thank you so much for your time and for coming on today's episode of the podcast.
It's my pleasure, and I'm absolutely excited to be on this podcast for you and for the audience who are viewing us today.
Awesome. So, for my audience, Dr. Manjoo is an internationally certified psychologist with a double doctorate in education and mental health. She's the author of the first self-help book in India for children, Life Parachute, and a singer by passion. Moreover, she's the founder of Lifeolicious, a positive community impacting India and the world to grow stronger and healthier, and is on a mission to transform 100,000 young adults and women to achieve emotional mastery by using resilience as a therapy. And I'm pleased to be joined with Dr. Manjoo Shree on today's episode of the podcast. It's my pleasure to have you on today's episode of the podcast. I'm sure that my audience will gain a lot from today's episode, more about you, more about what you do. And I briefly mentioned about you in the introduction, but can you please tell the audience about more about who you are and how this journey started for you?
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Manjoo. So the journey started way past in 2000. So I had the choice to take two subjects in a dual degree college. So my choices were interior designing and psychology. Interior designing was my passion at that moment, and I wanted to be an interior designer eventually. So psychology being a by subject, the by course subject, uh, it's the journey started off like that. I was intrigued with psychology, the fascinating facts behind human mind, the theories which makes each of us or our lives count. So every year passed with me loving psychology more. So the end of the third year, as I completed my bachelor's, I didn't turn out to interior design, which I primarily aspire to be, but I just knew I was a psychologist by heart. 2 degrees later, that is a master's and master's in philosophy, I started engaging with clients, women and men, but eventually I turned out to be a women oriented or women centric platform. Why? Because I believe women needed a safe space at that particular time. Because back then in our area, that is India, the suicidal rates of women were really high. I had a tragedy which I faced in 2013, which made me face my own mental fears. And I realized if I, who was a psychologist by profession, who was civilized, who had friends, family for support, despite all of that, had suicidal tendencies, what would a normal woman feel like? So that question totally shattered me. And I believed I had to make something out of it. And that became the mission of Lifeolicious, which started its coaching down for women and eventually for young adults, meaning teenagers to be in specific, because I believe conditioning is easy, but to recondition after you become an adult is a bit challenging. So if you take care of yourself growing up, you may not have much to unlearn. So that became the mission of Lifeolicious, to be a safe space for women and young adults. So fast forward, it's been 20 plus years. I've written a few books, starting with the first of its kind self-help book for children in India, which is called Life Parachute. And the other one, which is a stress busting technique, a book called Shifting Gears. And we also headed to the Amazon bestseller list, which is a grateful moment for all of us. And in the field of mental wellness, to be noticed and to be making mental wellness a priority down here in India. I'm a singer by passion. I love singing. Singing is my therapy. The best thing about singing is it just doesn't entertain me, but it also entertains anybody who is listening to. So, singing being my passion, out of three psychologists in the world who use singing and psychology to blend techniques and to form a keynote speaking, I'm one among the top three people across the world to blend singing and psychology techniques. So most of my sessions are knowledgeable and also entertaining, just to make sure that everybody stays on course and also leave happy and not just stronger. So the mission of Lifeolicious so far has been great. We have impacted over 2 lakhs people across the globe, and we've been running strong. We have various events conducted online, offline, and we've been also recognized by various platforms and media houses across the world, government officials, government offices. So I'm very, very grateful by the end of the day to have chosen psychology as my compass for this lifetime. I believe I was made for this. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to actually go through and reminiscence the birth of Lifeolicious.
That was an incredible explanation, and it gave my audience more of a bigger picture on who you are and what you do, and more about Lifeolicious and your journey. Now, if we talk about journeys in particular, you mentioned a lot about Lifeolicious, and you talked about the experience and how you're working towards your mission, which we talked about. If we focus on the double doctorate that you mentioned and your certification as a psychologist, how has your certification, alongside with the double doctorate, contributed to your professional career, and what opportunities do you think that brings?
So I believe every degree, what we do, may be boring, maybe a lot of, hundreds of textbooks probably. However, by the end of the day, we are actually learning techniques and learning perceptions from so many different people, which are just shortlisted in a book. So any knowledge is an asset, because that's something what nobody can take away from us. So studying and updating my knowledge was always on my list. I make sure I keep studying. Like even now, I'm doing certifications under Mind Valley University. Just learning from different visionaries give you a glimpse of a different world, or different subject, or different expertise, which I believe all of us should be having. How did these certifications change me as a person? It made me more confident about myself first. It made me engage with a lot of introspection by the end of the day as to what kind of personality am I? How could I better myself? How could I better my family? How could I better my friendships, my relationships, my giving to the community? How could it be better? I believe that kind of education is something only what books can give you. The certifications, like you rightly said, it gave me a living. I have a profession now, I have a work career. But the second education is how to make a life, which I believe is where psychology comes in, and people with my expertise bring it in. We all know how to make a living, but most of us do not know how to make our lives the optimum happiness, the optimum wellness that it deserves. So eventually, your experiences and knowledge comes a long way in how you're looking at a particular situation or how you're dealing with it. It definitely does.
Now, moving on, fast forward a little bit after your education certification. In 2017, you launched a cover song, and I'm sure that my audience who's not familiar with the cover song, you can probably tell them more about it. But for my audience who knows and has heard your cover song, why did you think it is important to launch this cover song in 2017? And what message does it leave the listeners with?
Music has no barrier. People from any age group, any language, any cultural background can connect with music. So, music is an effective tool when it comes to sharing information. So, right after my book was done, I was always wanting to sing, like I previously mentioned. To me, singing was a therapy, and it's also a mode of me connecting with the audience. So, when I say connecting with the audience, my audience were limited, meaning my audience were the people who probably knew me or who are connecting to me as a client or who are inviting me as a keynote speaker. However, I wanted to connect with the world for a bigger audience. And when that question came up, singing was my strength. And I believed I have to draw something from my own inspiration, working with people, especially women. And this whole song covers the epitome of why we should not let our limitations limit us, but we should break that limitation. It talks about why we should always aspire for the stars and we should never be our own limitation. So you should check the song out because I love this song. It's come out absolutely well. The visuals are great, and I absolutely enjoy doing this song. And it has amazing sense of lyric in it. I believe all of you should listen to it.
Yes, absolutely. It's a great song and it gave you that platform that you mentioned that singing is important to you as well as education, which we talked about. And this platform and this song in general can change so many people's outlook on just aspiring for the stars that you mentioned, like having those big goals and working towards those goals. And I'm gonna leave the link for my audience to check that out down in the description, so be sure to check that out. But not only with the cover song and Lifeolicious, you also have written many books which you mentioned. So in 2019, you published your first self-help book called Life Parachute. And when did you first become interested in writing books? Because even though Life Parachute was your first book, you've obviously written many other books as well, which my audience can check out. And can you tell the audience more about what writing the book felt like, and how do you think you felt differently about each book and what you were trying to communicate?
Okay, that's an interesting question because I never meant or aspired myself to be an author. I'm not great with words or with the writing. I'm not a lucid writer. I'm more of a talker. I can connect with people easy with talking and speech rather than writing. That was never my strength. Going down to 2013 summer, my family faced a tragedy wherein I was a part of the tragedy, and like I mentioned, I had suicidal thoughts. To combat my own mental wellness and to anchor myself to feeling better and to find a purpose in that particular tragical moment, I needed something to keep me grounded. So I started asking myself a lot of questions. And these questions eventually surprisingly got me not just a purpose, but got me a mission in life. Meaning, by the time I finished doing these questions, it took roughly 30 to 35 days. But by the time I finished all these questions, what I discussed in the book, Life Parachute, I was a much clarified person and I was out of my own chaos. I felt like a completely new person and I was ready to help somebody who is in distress. So that powerful was this mode of auto-suggestion, visualization. So Life Parachute is not a regular book. It's a workbook. It's a workbook what even a 8-year-old can sit and visualize, draw, journal, or write their thoughts at. By the end of the day, Life Parachute becomes your guide for life because you would exactly know how to work out a situation going to that particular page where you've written what is that you actually want. I believe we are our own discovery, and the more we probe into us, the more powerful we become. And Life Parachute is an excellent tool for the same. I am a live example.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. And Life Parachute is an incredible book, and I'm going to recommend it to everyone who's watching this podcast. So definitely check it out for sure. Now, we briefly mentioned before we jumped on to have this interview for the podcast some of your achievements, and we were reflecting on some of the accomplishments and things that you've had from the last time that we've connected. But could you tell my audience more about these accomplishments and how much it meant for you? And as you're looking forward into the future, are there any goals that you hope to achieve and desires that you have in the coming years?
Well, 2025 was a year of blessing to me. Studying in Oxford was one thing, that was something what I've aspired all my life, but it was a dream which never happened. Though Oxford was always, always my dream, just like so many of us across the world. I never had a chance to study there. I got married early in the sense I was 18 when I got married. Eventually, kids and life happened. So I was completely out of this dream. But this 2025, I was nominated for the Icon of the Year award. So this by far has been probably my most memorable moment, just stepping inside the Oxford University as not a student, but an awardee was a big moment of grace, gratitude, and an epitome of hard work of what I've put in 20 plus years in this field of psychology. Very thankful, grateful, and blessed moment indeed. My vision for the future would be to connect with the grass level audience back in our country because I believe that's where real talent lies and also the challenges. So I believe it's my time to give back by educating the rural India, possibly collaborating with the government, wherein I actually get down to the kids who need it the most. And that's my vision for the future. And I'm really rooting for it.
That's an incredible vision, and I'm sure that my audience wishes you all the best for that. They always want the best for each and every guest, and they want the best for you for sure. And I also wish you all the best, and I know definitely that you can reach that vision and that goal that you have.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we mentioned about the future and your vision and your goals for the future.
Yeah.
If we look back in the past and we look at your journey to get into this point, the ups, the downs, I'm sure you've been through it all and you're familiar with it. But if we focus on the achievements and your growth from the ups and the downs and what you've learned from that experience, from
Mm.
those experiences. Is there anything you would have done differently in any stage of your journey in the past? And what would you have done differently?
Going down to my past, but I always seek perfection. If I wanted to do something differently, I would not be chasing perfection. That perfection is a myth. It is something what we will never be able to attain, which I was running around like a headless chicken for years, chasing perfection. I wanted to be a perfect daughter, a perfect sister, a perfect wife, a perfect mother. Well, that never really worked. That's something what I can for sure say. I wish I had enjoyed the journey better because perfection somewhere was not heading me to the direction I wanted to. So if I am to do something differently, it would be to not be perfect, but to be very happy being imperfect.
Wow, that is something that I did not expect, and I'm sure my audience did not expect after all the achievements that you mentioned, your goals, and what you've been through. I'm pretty sure that perfection is something that is hard to talk about and it's hard to deal with, right? Like perfection, because a lot of us want to be perfect. But what is your take on perfection? Does it exist? Is it something that a lot of people see as maybe an illusion? Is it like an illusion, or is it something that is non-existent?
I believe perfection is non-existent because all of us, we all, as women or any human for that matter, we all want to be perfect. We want to be omnipresent, meaning we want to be present everywhere. We want to be there for our child's exams. We want to be there for our work when we have the best of the moments at work. We want to be there for our parents if they are feeling sick. We just want to be there everywhere, right? Uh, I believe that finally, is it possible? No. It's something what we are challenging ourselves into, which may not be the right place to be at all. So perfection is a myth. It is it's like a downward spiral into a hole which never ever is gonna stop. So we are gonna keep seeking it, keep seeking it, keep seeking it, and we reach a point when we just cannot take it anymore. So it is an eventual burn, a burnout for us as a professional or as a family person. So perfection is a good hallucination to be with, but it's not something which I would recommend you to live with. I've been there and I've not enjoyed the journey at all.
So if we talk about the journey and we mentioned about perfection, I'm sure that, looking at your journey and hearing about all the incredible things you've done, and one thing my audience can agree on is you've tried many different things. You've launched
Yeah.
a song, which we talked about. You've launched Lifeolicious. You have a double doctorate. You've also done, you've also written many books. But if we look at some of the challenges and the process and the journey to make this come alive and to make this launch and to become internationally famous like you are, what would you say is the biggest challenge you faced in your career? And how did you tackle these challenges to become the person you are today and to continually impact lives of people around the world?
So, my biggest challenge in my 20 plus years of being a psychologist was to break the myth, was to break the stigma which mental wellness comes from, especially from a country like mine, where people do not really talk about mental wellness as much as we do. To me, I believe mental wellness should be like a place of gym. You go to a gym, you work out your muscles, you feel proud of yourself, isn't it? Then why is that when you go to a psychologist or a therapist, you actually shy away or you feel judged or you judge somebody who's going through it? Doesn't connect the dots, right? So mental wellness is something what all of us should be taking care of. Just as we brush our teeth, we should be taking care of our feelings and our beliefs. I believe things, when not taken care of at the grassroots level, really shows up or aggravates itself to a position of psychosis or a severe mental health condition. So right from the time when you are a child or you're parenting a child, I believe emotional regulation is something what we have to make it a must to let the child feel the feelings. Most often, as parents or as a loved one, not even parents, but probably as a spouse or as an employee, we tend to take away a lot of winning moments. How is just and when the child is probably working really hard to make a card pyramid is just imagine, and when the child is going to keep the final card on top, and even you are pretty unsure whether it can actually take it or the whole the pyramid crumple down to pieces. Our primary instinct is to rush towards the child and help the child so that the pyramid stays afloat and the child is happy, ain't it? But are we actually realizing that we are not just helping the child with this final card moment? If the child misses this, it's going to try again. That's their nature. What we are actually doing here in the name of love is taking away their winning moment, taking away a bit of their confidence by believing that they may not be able to do it alone and they need us to finally succeed. This happens in the name of love. This happens in the name of affection. This happens in the name of care. When we look back at our survival years, ancestors, our great ancestors, they probably did not have any mental wellness therapist or a psychologist to come and counsel them. But you know what they had? They had great talks. After a day of hunting, the men, the women, the kids, all of them assemble together around a fireplace and talk stories. They sing folklore. They share experiences of their day. I believe these are great for emotional regulation because you feel safe being a part of a community. You feel heard about what you're feeling, and you see people who are encouraging you to talk, and you see people being safe to talk about their innermost dreams, fears, and yet being accepted. Now that's the power of community and emotional regulation. Somewhere down the lane, I believe all of us have detached in the name of mobile phones, WhatsApp, email, or anywhere in technology. I believe it's time to bring back our stories, start talking all over again, and make sure we leave this world a much stronger, and safer place for our kids.
Wow, that was an incredibly powerful message and summary of everything that we've kind of talked about until this point about your journey. And that really shines a light on your unique voice. So, this podcast is all about sharing surreal journeys, unique voices, and many more. And that right there is just an example of a unique voice, a unique message that Manju would like to share with the audience. So, having said that, as we are approaching the end of this episode of the podcast, is there anything you would like to leave the audience with?
Yes. Each one of you who are watching this podcast, I'm here to challenge you. You are very, very special. It's not just your DNA or your fingerprints which makes you unique, but the way how you're looking at me right now, how you're smiling right now, how your hair is, how your eyes are sparkling right now. Now, this combination is just you. There is nobody else like you across the world. It is just you. So you are very, very special. Please do not let anyone or anything make you feel any less. Because you're very special in my eyes, which you are, and you should not let anybody or anything take that over. Please promise this for me. If there is anything I want you to take away from this episode, you need not remember me. It's okay if you don't remember my name. It's okay if you don't even watch my entire episode. But if you remember you're special, especially in those moments when you feel you're just not worth it or your life is not working. Can you hear a heart thumping, beating? Now, that's the person who's cheering for you. So you are very, very special. Trust me, everybody. That's something what I want you to remember all your life. Whether you remember me or no, I want you to remember this all your life. You are very, very, very special.
Thank you for that last comments and last words that you'd like to leave the audience with. And I think that's the perfect way to end the episode. So once again, thank you, Dr. Manjoo Shree, for today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I had an absolute great time talking to you, reliving my dreams, reminiscing my journey. I wish you the very best, and I wish all the viewers a great, awesome, imperfectly happy life ahead.
Thank you very much, Manju. It's my pleasure to have you on today's episode of the podcast. I'm sure my audience definitely enjoyed and took so much from this episode, more about you, more about ways in which there's more about you and more about your life and your story and your journey. And for my audience who has made it all the way to this point, if you haven't already done so, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who may be interested in knowing more about Dr. Manjoo Shree and her journey and what she has to share. And thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. I'll see you all for the next episode. Goodbye.